We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I am Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend, when he has a kitties, name it or Martha, Bandit Incorporated. Do-do-do-do.
What? Hello. Yes, I am here. I am alive. Despite my weird video of me hanging myself, and despite the death threat that I got because of our last podcast, I am here. I am alive. How are you, Trey?
I'm great. You actually got like a legitimate death threat.
I think so, yeah. He said it like 4 or 5 times, so I think so. But hey, whatever. It's the internet. That happens sometimes. So, DC fans are passionate. What could I say?
I'm talking to one, so it's like Wow. Okay, that's a great.
I don't know. It happens all the time.
I've gotten to. I don't think I've ever gotten death threats. I've gotten racial remarks. I still talk about my favorite comment of all time to this day. You're black. That's my favorite comment I've ever gotten. I don't think I've ever gotten a death threat. Okay.
Hey,
yeah. All right.
DC is an emotional topic for many Zack Snyder fans.
Yeah, these DC guys, especially after we posted our podcast, I think from the get go, we usually get maybe we'll get 100 likes and maybe 10 dislikes. This one was 79 likes, 46 dislikes. We were just
it wasn't that bad. It's when it first
came out.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's when it first came out, for that first maybe couple of hours, I was like, man, this is getting I noticed a higher increase, but I mean, it's leveled out eventually, the likes have risen, but at first it was a lot, the buzz was negative. I got a lot, I read a lot of comments of, we were idiots, we were, our opinions are atrocious.
It wasn't that bad, because we knew that was going to happen. I especially knew that was going to happen. But no, I actually found it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. A lot of people were like, I think you're overreacting. But there's some serious problems. But
look, Ben, I thought you were overreacting. Speaking of which, do you still agree with your score of 0 out of 10?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. All right, I'll come back in a month and ask again. All right,
just to clarify for all those who are wondering, the reason I give it 0 out of 10 is because you've got Batman and you've got Superman in the movie, so you've got a built-in hype, you've got built-in audience. Even if you had just a pretty generic storyline, it would still be like hitting a home run. So Batman v Superman. There's way movies that are technically worse, worse stories. Maybe not many that are worse stories, but there's other movies out there that are worse in different categories, but the fact that had such built-in goodwill just of being Batman and Superman, and it still managed to drop 81% in the second week and might not even make it to the $1 billion mark that it needs to make its money back, that sort of makes its fall from grace even heavier. Even more dramatic. So I love.
Thanks for ruining the news story. That was a news story.
Oh, sorry. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It's like being born on third base and still striking out. How is that even possible? I don't know. But Zack Snyder somehow managed to do it. So for that reason, I say it's the worst movie ever. Fantastic Four sucked, but we all knew it was going to suck. But Batman v Superman, there's no good excuse for it not doing well. Anyway, go.
This is look, we talked about this I remember when we stopped recording last week. I remember, what did I say? I was like, man, I got a headache. I got to go. We were all just I felt like I was exhausted. My head hurt. I was tired. Yeah. My eyes were drowsy.
That was not a fun podcast to do.
No, I
enjoy doing that.
I recorded that. I commented down on the podcast this might be the dentist episode of the podcast yet, because it's so it was hard to record. It was tough to listen to.
Yeah,
but I'm glad
Normally, I go back and listen to it. Like I listen to it when I edit, but then I'll listen to it again. I listened to it once through again to see if it was as bad as I remember, but I was like, yeah, I have not listened to it again. I just sort of want to move on.
It was like a Republican debate. It was so much fun. It was fun to hear us argue with one another, but I don't like hating you, Bandit, and I hated you for all hour and 56 minutes of that. Yeah, so
I hated myself. I don't blame you. Yeah.
I'm just saying Attack of the Clones is pretty bad. But that being said, guys, hey, trademark, we do have time codes below. So in case you want to skip through our topics, say you're getting bored of something, you can skip right to the movie news or whatever the homework is or our main topic or maybe even your listener questions if you just care about yourself. All right, Bandit, so let's get into the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
All right, guys, so this is the movie news. Okay, so for starters, Bandit kind of teased at it. I'm not sure if our numbers are correct here. While I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and look this up again. But Batman v Superman.
While you're looking it up, I just realized we forgot to say why Trilbee's not here.
Yes.
He's not here because he's filming, Mr. Independent Film.
Yeah,
he's off filming all this week, so that's why he's not here.
Hashtag British Kevin Smith is over there filming. Yeah, he's too good for it. No, I'm kidding. I hope he's having a great time making all those movies and the motion pictures. But he's not here. But I'm sure he's all right. I'm sure he's doing just fine.
Sure.
But
that's why we have three people. So sorry, sidetrack. Please continue.
No, you're good, man. No, I'm nice and calm today. So if you interrupt me, I won't get too edgy like I was last week. I remember as you teased at the start of the show, Batman v Superman had a massive drop off this weekend. I'm guessing, I know in the US the story has it that it dropped between 68 and 70% in its second weekend. It opened to $50 million on its second weekend after 167 or something like that first weekend. Which 167 isn't great. It's not. It really is. Look, it's amazing for a movie, but not when the budget is close to $500 million. Say if they were to do a movie hit the mic again. Okay. Say if we were to make a movie like Deadpool doing 166 is insane. Furious 7 doing 166 is insane. Star Wars doing 166 is a little underwhelming because the projections are at 200 plus. This movie was looking at more of a 180 opening weekend, did 166. It was looking at a 78, something like that, second weekend, and it did 50. This movie is falling, which tells me that mainstream audiences are not liking it, and this is how I know. My dad, who I always talk about, I bring him up talking about Screen Room or something. My dad, who goes to the movies to see these kind of movies, he went on Monday, I think, and saw it, and he came back to me, and he likes Transformers, mind you. He came back to me, and he's like, man, I didn't like the movie. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, it was boring. I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, there's a YouTube channel called Comic Book Cast where they do a good breakdown.
Boo!
And
Boo!
You don't like Comic Book Cast?
No.
Shame on you. I love Comic Book Cast.
They remind me of YouTube commenters, and every time they want to review, they make clickbait, very short, inconsistent videos, and every time they review a post-credit scene, they put the bloody post-credit scene in the thumbnail, and they sometimes release these videos 2 days before the movie's actually out. I do not like Comic Book Cast. More power to them. They're a very successful channel. More power to them, but I do not. That's my opinion.
I was hoping to reach out for them for a collaboration on my channel, but I guess it won't happen now. So thanks, Trey. But
sorry. Look, I don't have to be there. Look, you want to. All right, I didn't.
Hey, you don't hear me criticizing Smoes. No, well, I do. I just edit it out.
Yeah, you just cut it out. How are we gonna get Alicia Malone now and just criticize their whole channel? Yeah, that's not gonna happen anymore.
She's with Screen Junkies, isn't she? She's not with Schmoes now.
She was with it. It's a long story. We're gonna.
But look, the reason I was bringing this up, Comic Book Cast, he broke it down because there's a website I think called breakeven.com or something like that, where they calculate how much that a movie needs to make to break even, and how much it needs to be considered a success. And Batman v Superman, they calculate, needs to get 1.2 billion to be considered a success for everyone who invested and all that sort of stuff. So it dropping by 81% in the second week, a lot of people are like, oh, well, so what? Some movies come out hard and then they... But you got to remember that, what other movies are out in cinemas at the moment? Nothing. The only other movies that are out right now is God's Not Dead 2 and Meet the Blacks. And I don't even know what those are. So that it can drop so drastically when there's no competition is really, really troubling. And remember also that for a while there, this was going to come out next to Civil War, Marvel Civil War, Captain America Civil War. Thank God for Warner Brothers that Marvel decided to move Civil War until May. Because if they came out with these numbers next to Civil War, they probably would have got squashed.
Yeah, well, the plan was originally that, they had it for July 22nd, then they moved it to May 6th, and then, which was, I guess, I don't know if it was a scheduled Marvel movie, but we didn't know what it was. And so Marvel, Kevin Feige, being just the genius man that he is, he's like, you know what we'll do? Bam, Civil War. There you go. Bye. And then they made BVS like Bolt, and so they moved it to March 25th. And I looked it up here, and apparently the Friday to Friday, in terms of like the Friday of its first week and the Friday of its second week, was 81%, but overall the weekend was like 68%. But still, it's awful. Fantastic Four had like a 58% drop. So, wow. This is bad. This is bad news.
Fantastic Four had 58%, and this gets 81%.
It only did like 20 million opening weekend, and I was one of the fools that went and saw it on Thursday night. So, I didn't think it was going to be good. I had no faith, but I walked in there like, I guess I'll watch this, and it's a movie that got me here, I guess. In the same way. Yeah. All right, Bandit. Okay.
Yeah, well, let's hope. I mean, the problem's Zack Snyder. Let's be honest. It's not anything else. The problem is Zack Snyder. It's his vision that doesn't connect with audiences. Everyone can argue about why, or whether it should connect with audience, or why it doesn't connect with audience. It doesn't really matter why. Like, again, Comic Book Cast, he did an April Fool's video, which totally fooled me, saying that Zack Snyder got fired.
Oh, that's right, you tweeted it!
And I was like, oh my god, I went and I made a funny picture of Donald Trump firing Zack Snyder and him crying. And, you know why I fell for it? Because here in Australia, we're 12 hours ahead, so it was like 8 o'clock at night or something here at that time. So I was like, oh, April Fool's already
this
been.
This one website that I usually get my screenings from, at least one of them that they do, they post this thing of like, get your Marvel Civil War screenings quickly before they all sell out. And so I clicked on it, I'm like, oh, can I get my screenings? And it's just like, April Fool's. I'm like, you know what? You can go away, because I don't need, anyways, April Fool's was not fun for me this year. There were far too many videos I did not know whether to take seriously, and it was annoying me. But that's whatever. All right. Next story, Bandit. All right, so next story here, we have Simon Kinberg, kind of one of the big shepherds over there at X-Men and Fox, and responsible for a lot of things, including Fantastic Four. He has said that, the X-Men franchise, they greenlit a movie a while ago for 2018 called, X-Men The New Mutants, or something like that, which I guess would consist of a team, featuring other mutants, like Storm, Jean Grey, kind of like the cast of Apocalypse, but, they would...
Yeah. Actually,
it feels like
I think I kind of remember hearing that news. Yeah,
yeah. It was like First Class minus Charles and Eric, essentially. So that's just what the vibe I got from it. Apparently, the script is done. They got Josh Boone to direct. I think he did Fault in Our Stars, which I'm actually quite a big fan of. I think I think there's actual character in that movie, which is different from a lot of the movies we get like that these days. And but Simon Kinberg has since come out and say that the tone for this film is young adult, which bothers me. Yeah.
Can't wait for the love triangle to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, to bring in the scene of you're special, there's something in your blood, like that seems to be in everything.
I can't wait till the big bad adults are here to ruin the day, and I can't wait for them to split the last one into 2 parts. Look, I have faith in Simon Kinberg, I guess, but in an age where the X-Men movies have not been great since First Class, why would you drop this news like this, Kinberg? I don't know what made you look. Josh Boone can do young adult well, like I said, Fault in Our Stars, but I don't. It's concerning me. I don't know.
Well, hey, at least could be worse. There could be a certain other person directing that X-Men movie, but hey, it's a new director, so that's good. Right?
Yeah, certain directors, that director and young adults don't really work well together. Hey-o! Let's leave it in. Leave it in. We're leaving. It's subtle. It's just subtle enough. We'll leave it in.
That's right.
Yeah, unlike your... I love the bleep from last week, by the way. I love some of the comments like, what did he say?
Oh, from Ted Cloverfield Lane, yeah.
Ted Cloverfield Lane a couple weeks ago, it's like, what did he say? Yeah, that was...
I still included it at the very end of the podcast.
Yeah, it's at the very end. Yeah, that was lovely. Don't repeat it, though. Okay. All right, Bandit. Next story here.
Sure.
Suicide Squad. They're apparently, Warner Brothers is spending upwards of like $20 million, something like that. They're spending a lot of money to go in and do reshoots for Suicide Squad to apparently add more humor and make the movie lighter. So
Yeah.
What do you think?
Look, I am looking forward to Suicide Squad. It looks the most comic booky out of a lot of the comic book movies that we've got so far. Yeah. And like it looks like, at least from what we can see from the trailers, it looks very comic booky, very colourful, but still dark, if that makes sense. So like if they're going back and reshooting to add in more humour, then I think that's good, because that's what I want. The villains are allowed to have fun. It's the heroes have to be serious all the time in a lot of comic books. But you know, part of the reason we love the Joker is he's always laughing. He's always having a great time, even if he's cutting someone's face open, going, "That's how I got these scars." He's just
even if he's cutting his own face off. It's funny, yeah. I don't want this to mess up the flow of the film.
No.
I feel like my concern here is that Suicide Squad, apparently it's been done, you know, the post-production right now. And look, these kind of movies always have reshoots. Age of Ultron had reshoots. Every one of these big movies, like 100 million plus movies, always have reshoots. But my issue isn't with the reshoots. My issue is with to add jokes and stuff. Like I feel like they had an agenda, they had a movie, and they had it done. They were happy about the movie, and then the reception of BVS came out and scared them. So now they're like, okay, wait, no, make this more like Marvel. Like, no. Stick to your vision. The problem, we've said this before, the problem with BVS is not the fact that it's dark. That's not the problem. Maybe Superman should smile more, but whatever. That's not the problem. The problem was the way the director executed the film. That was your issue. So if Suicide Squad is David Ayer's vision and not Zack Snyder, I have a lot more faith in Ayer because I think he's done some great films. So I have more faith in Ayer. Yeah. I think they should just stick to their guns and not be so reactionary.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I guess it's like, like you say, every film has to have reshoots. But I guess it's good because they're like, hopefully they're trying to craft it to what the audience wanted. Like you mentioned about like your dad's reaction with Batman v Superman. He obviously didn't get what he hoped he was getting in there, because people see Batman and Superman, you know, the image they get is like, oh, Batman, Superman, they're superheroes, they're friends, and that's not what Batman v Superman is like at all. No, so hopefully, like, these reshoots they're crafting it to what people are expecting. Like Suicide Squad, you see the trailers, you're going to be like, this is like wacky fun. This is like wacky bad guy fun. Well, sort of thing, like an evil Guardians of the Galaxy. So if they're reshooting to add that in, it's a good thing.
But that's what it looked like in the trailer. Like BVS from the trailers looked like a dark, serious, grim, intense kind of movie, which is what we got, whether it was good or not. Which is what we got. Suicide Squad looks, I don't like using this word, but it looks fun. So it looks like everyone's having a great time on set. You know, I think there's a natural flow here, and apparently David Ayer is a great guy to work with. Will Smith is working with him again alongside Joel Edgerton from The Gift on a Netflix movie about like fairy tale cops, and that sounds really cool. So apparently, you know, people enjoy these guys on set. So I think I'm worried that DC, because apparently they've pulled The Rock from Shazam, and that's just not happening anymore. So I'm
Oh, really?
That's just that's a rumor that I've heard. So I didn't put it in the news because I'm not sure how legitimate it is. That's just something I've heard through the grapevine. But it's like, by the grapevine, I mean the internet. I don't know people, but it's like I'm worried that DC is trying to like. They're being so reactionary. It makes me uncomfortable. I feel like they're not sticking to the guns, because I feel like they're doing what Trilbee predicted last week of like, no, just make sure this is not what we like. They're trying to make this movie not Dawn of Justice, but they're not supposed to be Dawn of Justice. It looked like its own thing.
I mean, that's the point of a cinematic universe, isn't it? Each sort of movie can have its own feel. They don't all have to be, you know, the Zack Snyder murderverse.
Winter Soldier isn't Ant-Man, you know? And I know people got mad for us comparing things tomorrow, but Winter Soldier isn't Ant-Man, or Age of Ultron isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. They have similar tones, but they're vastly different feels. Yeah. Incredible Hulk is in the first Thor. There's a difference there.
Yeah, it's essentially like, I mean, we're talking about the cinematic universe, but essentially what these cinematic universes are is just the cinematic equivalent of what comic books have done for a long time.
Yeah, there's soap operas.
Everyone's got their different. Each superhero has their different comic book. Sometimes they intertwine. Sometimes you've got like group ones for the Justice League or the Avengers. Sometimes they cross over. It's exactly the same here with the comics.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you'll have a Black Widow storyline crossover into Captain America, which is what we got in Winter Soldier. Sometimes you'll have Falcon show up in Ant-Man. It's something that happens.
And they all have different feels. Like
yes.
the Hulk comic doesn't feel the same as like, I presume, a Captain America comic does. Yeah, each has different feels, so yeah. Hopefully Suicide Squad will be more
You just see
wacky.
Cap walking down the street, do, like the sad Hulk music. On your left. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's Suicide Squad, but I'm a little trepidatious now because I was hoping to get a great David Ayer film and not a Warner Brothers, like, molded David Ayer film.
I'm still optimistic, but I want to see some Captain Boomerang with some boomerangs. Show us some sweet boomerang action.
Jai Courtney looks great, which congratulations marketing team, make Jai Courtney look appealing.
He actually kind of seems cool, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like because I've seen Assault on Arkham, so I think I know what the feel they're trying to go for here. Yeah. Hopefully, just stick to that. And it's dark, but there's a lot of levity to it. It's a team movie, so they can pull this off. Okay,
totally.
So, did you see the Batman v Superman deleted scene?
Yes, I suppose we can say it, can't we?
Spoilers, but you've also actually maybe you guys haven't seen it with these box office
spoilers for a movie that has been out for about 2 weeks now and that had this scene deleted and that is readily available on YouTube. Spoilers for it. Lex Luthor, when he's in the scout ship doing whatever he's doing, he gets a vision somehow.
Yeah,
and he basically sees Darkseid. It's not Darkseid, it's one of his minions, but it leads to Darkseid. It's basically Darkseid.
Look, I have no idea who this person is that he sees, and so I don't want to say who it might be. I think it's someone related to Darkseid. I'm not sure if it is his minion.
Yeah, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but
look, you guys are going to tell us, so I have nothing to worry about.
Someone will tell
someone will be like, actually, in issue 344 from 1965, yeah, don't worry, they'll let me know. But my point is, why'd they cut this out? Why'd you cut this out of the movie?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, that happens while he's making... Actually, it's before he makes Doomsday, because you don't see them working on the Doomsday body. So it's weird that if that's what sort of freaks out his mind, and he's like, oh my god, this giant, literal demigod is going to show up and, like, smash Earth to pieces, then don't kill Superman. Don't. You kind of need him.
Look, I didn't
Superman's the only one who could stop Darkseid. Don't create a monster that will kill Superman.
Yeah, but I didn't say it was good. It was a good movie. I just said that this scene. I think this scene explains what he saw, and I think in terms of how many visions are in this movie. You see the bat jump through Martha Wayne's grave. You see Batman flying through, which I thought looked cool, with flying through some bats. With everything that they kept in the movie, all the stuff with the bullets and the Aquaman that should have been there, and the Lois Lane drowning 3 times and getting saved by Superman, and all the weird stuff. This 48-second scene should have stayed in the movie, but that's whatever. All right, that's neither here nor there.
Apparently, the Zack Snyder universe is like one where literally anyone can have a vision at any time for any moment. Remember just when Clark Kent's just, for some reason, he's suddenly hiking through the snow and then there's, hey, Jonathan Kent, aren't you dead?
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't ask any questions.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you a story about when I ate some cake and killed some horses. Okay.
Oh,
thanks,
Zach.
Dad.
Zach.
You poor sap you. Okay, all right. So
please just go back to building the 300 universe and just let someone else take the reins on the DC universe. You don't know what you're doing, mate.
I'd like to see him tackle other non-DC comic book properties. There are certain... I forgot what's that story called. Darn. Man, but there's a certain comic book story that I think he'd be great for. I completely forgot what it was, but I'll remember in a couple of days. But I think, like we said before, he's a great filmmaker. At least before this movie came out, he's a crappy storyteller.
Yeah, nobody in their right mind could say he doesn't know how to like set up a shot and create interesting visuals. Nobody could seriously say that. He does. He's great at that.
He sucks at making movies, but you know who doesn't suck at making? You know who doesn't suck at making movies? He's just not good at telling an actual story. That's all. Exactly. But do you know who's great at making movies and telling stories?
Who?
Disney, and that's why they have their own convention called D23. But D23, yeah, nice.
I thought you were against it. Good segue, but
yeah. But D23 has. D23 is essentially Disney's Comic-Con, and they do it every other year. And they have announced the date for D23 2017, and it is exactly 1 week before San Diego Comic-Con.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
At least it's not on the same weekend.
Power move, am I right? Like Disney's really like Disney already pulled out from Marvel last year. Like, their presence has been less and less as the years have gone on. Like, I remember in 2013, I think was when, like, Tom Hiddleston came out as Loki, and they announced a lot of their lineup. But in 2014, or whatever, last year, 2014, they had the Age of Ultron trailer, and that was pretty much it. And then that later on in October, they had that big event in the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood where they released their lineup. They announced Civil War and all that. And then 2015, Marvel just wasn't there, and neither was Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm was just kind of there to be like, look at this behind the scenes footage and go to a concert. Sorry, Kevin Smith. And then they were just kind of like, and then because they had Star Wars Celebration, and Star Wars Celebration, I think is this year is a week before Comic-Con. This year, it's in July. It's a week before Comic-Con. So my question is what does this mean for Comic-Con? Like, what does this mean for people who want to go to Comic-Con? What does this mean? Is something going to have to change? Or
well, you see, Trey, it's a good thing because it's providing a different option for people who want to see it. See, I'm delving into screening room. No, I think it's great. Look,
that was a good video, by the way. You really knocked down all my points I had against you.
Well, most people agree with you.
I was like, where's his evidence? And then you showed me you showed screenshots. I was like, he has evidence for good job in that video, bravo.
Well, most people agree with you. The polls are sort of. It's about 55 to 45. It's kind of split, but it's most of the comments are agreeing with you. It's either people saying too expensive or cinemas are magical. I'll always go to cinemas. But anyway, getting back to
Don't patronize me. Don't patronize. Look, the last thing I'll say on the issue, and I'm dropping this into the screener thing for good until it actually happens.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
Unless something new comes out, because it is important to the movie industry. So we need to cover
but it's like. I'm fine with it. I just don't want it to be I don't want cinemas to become run down. I don't want the cinema experience to die. And that doesn't mean people are going to be like, well, just turn it into a sporting event where you can go and pay $40 to sit in a stadium and watch a movie. Like, no, that's not what going to the movies is. Going to the movies is not I got some tweets about that. I'm like, going to the movies is not a football game, but I'm diverting back to D23.
But yeah, Marvel Comic-Con, since it's not on the same weekend, it doesn't seem to be a problem. I mean, isn't that means just double the nerdy goodness now? Because they got Star Wars, they got Marvel, so you got one weekend for that, and then you got all the other stuff on the other weekend. So as long as they don't try to put it on the same weekend and make you choose, then it's okay by me.
If you and your 25-year-old friends. Not saying you example, but say, there's a 25-year-old guy and his 25-year-old friends, and they say, well, I'm taking off a week from work to go to Comic-Con this summer. And I got my tickets a while back, and I'm going to see Marvel, Star Wars, DC, all that stuff, all that great stuff, Universal, all the movie stuff, all the comic stuff. And then you get there and Marvel has no presence and Star Wars has no presence. That's two huge voids now gone from Comic-Con. And they're like, well, where is it? It's like, well, if you pay another $300 to rent out hotels and
how would you not know before you bought the ticket?
Well, I think because the general public I think they have kind of an expect. Plus, the general public is not going to be able to take 2 weeks off of work to go to one time because say you live in New York.
Comic-Con's not for the general public, it's for the nerds. And nerds are active online, so they'd know there's two different ones.
Oh, I smell debate here. No, but it's still kind of the same thing of say if you're a big comic book nerd, you go to Comic-Con every year, it's kind of your vacation, and you live in New York and you have to drive down you could fly down to San Diego. That's a plane ticket, that's a hotel ticket, and then Comic-Con's expensive to go to and to eat there and all that good stuff. It's a big deal, and you're there. I have friends who go every year. I don't do that because I'm not that kind of person. But then you go down there and you go but now you have two things missing because Star Wars and Marvel isn't there, but you can't afford to go down there again, a week later or the week before and do D23 where you can get the Marvel and your Star Wars stuff. I feel like this is kind of taking things away from the fans that they've been kind of experiencing for decades. Decades, Comic-Con has always been this thing. However, on the opposite side of the spectrum, I feel like Comic-Con had this coming because just from what I've read, oh boy.
No, I was just going to say, it's funny because on the opposite side of the spectrum, there's someone like me who doesn't live anywhere near, even remotely, where a Comic-Con is. So I'm just kind of like, it's all theoretical for me, but sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, on the opposite side, spectrum, Comic-Con is massive. I've seen videos from it. I've seen people, FaceTime me from Comic-Con. I had never been there, of course, but it's like being in a sardine it's like being packed like sardines from what I've heard. And they've wanted San Diego to expand their convention center for ages and they haven't. So maybe this is Disney being like, fine, or if you don't want to expand, we're going to take it away from you. I don't know. I feel like this is Disney. I don't think that they're trying to do this on purpose, but I feel like Disney is screwing over the fans in a certain aspect as, they kind of have to make them choose. Do you do Comic-Con or do you do D23?
Actually, I think I suppose it's kind of like a nerd rite of passage. You have to go to Comic-Con at least once sometime in your life. This is like the nerd Mecca. Like Muslims, they at some point in their life they have to go to Mecca at least once. Yeah. So this is like that. If you're a nerd, at some point you have to go to America. That's on my bucket list as well to go there. But now that there's two, I'm like, it's like a crisis. That's my faith. Thing, right? Which one do I? Which is my Mecca now? It's hard to decide.
It's not as if it's like I have to go to Star Wars Celebration because this and this is only going to be at Star Wars Celebration. That's different. I feel like because that is specifically a Star Wars convention that's been around for years. D23 is more of a recent kind of thing. Is like there's going to be like their third or fourth one, and I feel like they are purposely putting it in front of Comic-Con to force Comic-Con's hands at the expense of the fans. Okay,
that's interesting.
That's the news. But more on we'll see how that develops as the year goes on. Okay, so Bandit, did we have some homework?
Kind of.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment. You're going to go out. You're going to start a fight with a total stranger. You're going to start a fight, and you're going to lose.
Okay, right. All right, guys. So this is the homework segment where we talk about the things that we have seen recently or the things that you've recommended for us. Bandit, you had some homework?
Yes. Trilbee gave me these homework assignment of seeing The Gift ages ago, but we haven't been able to talk about it, so I'm waiting until he comes back for us to talk about it. It's your homework assignment too, Trey. We both need to see The Gift.
Don't remind the teacher that I had homework. Shh, stop. Don't be that guy. Yeah, you're the guy that raises his hand at the end of class. It's like, miss, didn't we have homework? What are you doing? Yeah.
Aren't you going to assign us some homework for the weekend? No, it's so I think I was the last one on the podcast to finally see Zootopia. Yeah. And it was really good. I was really it was interesting because having watched this after having finished the season of Daredevil, because Zootopia as well. Again, people, don't worry, I won't give any spoilers. But Daredevil and Zootopia both have sort of conspiracies that are being investigated and sort of uncovered. And with Zootopia, I was like,
we can give Zootopia spoilers. It's been out for a month now in the US.
Well, there's not that much to spoil anyway. Really, it's but it's so I was like, in some ways, this conspiracy stuff is actually a bit better than in Daredevil season 2. I love season 2. Don't get me wrong, but we'll cover it. It's interesting. It's kind of like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you're like, this is actually a really good sort of detective story. with these cartoon animals. And like you mentioned, is it deals with a lot of sort of like racial stereotypes and issues of diversity. And it's really interesting that it sort of came out when it did, because I was like, surely they must have been writing this ages ago, because it's so timely at this point in time, especially in America with what's going on right now with politics and all that. So it's like it's interesting that it came out now, and it was funny watching it. Like certain of the lines that they say, you're like, yeah, people say stuff like that on the news, or yeah. And it was interesting as I was watching it, because I was like, this is really bold of them, but I was like, I don't know how they're gonna, because with a movie like this, they need to have a solution at the end, but what solution are they going to present? Are they going to be lefties or righties or somewhere in the middle-ease? And I think they kind of did it well, the way they sort of resolved it all.
I don't think they had necessarily a political agenda going in. Well, they did. I don't know if it was more, liberal or conservative. As you guys may have known, the topic is prejudice and racism in a certain aspect, and like right from the get-go, when they talk about the foxes and you're like, oh, okay, so the foxes are black people, or, foxes are minorities and predators are minorities. And so, it's like, but seriously, let's stay away from those foxes. They're crafty. Or, or when the main character, Nick Wilde, he wants to be like a Boy Scout, but they don't let him in because he's a fox, and so they rip away his uniform. Like, scenes like that, I was like sitting in the movie theater going, this is incredible. Oh my good job. Like, Disney did certain things where they went there, and I feel like all they really said was racism is wrong, which I guess is a pretty broad message, but at the same time,
I disagree. Because at least the way I interpreted it was, they're basically saying like, are there differences? Yes, there are. Like the sloths, they are slow. The foxes, they are a bit crafty, but they're basically saying, who cares, though? The thing is that we move on and we don't dwell in the past. That's at least what I got from it. And I thought that's kind of good because, I know, like, a lot of the times, like, in our modern age when we're trying to combat racism and discrimination and all that, but people go the other way and say, no, there's no difference at all. And I'm like, well, the reason that I've travelled overseas so much is because it's different. So, yeah, of course it's different. But that's a good thing. That's what we enjoy. So
if you ever do move to America, everyone's gonna love you because they love. Here in America, we really have a thing for accents. So even if you have like a New York accent and you come down to like Texas, people are gonna be like, oh man, you sound so great, Or even if like you have like a Southern drawl and we don't, people be like, oh man, I love your voice, But if you come down and they hear an Australian accent, they're gonna lose their minds. So just whatever, just keep that in mind.
So you want me to be like the token Aussie that you can show off? See, I'm diverse. I got Aussie friends.
Be like, I have friends from across the ocean. He swam here on his kangaroo, guys. Come on.
Well, when I make my pilgrimage to Comic-Con, I'll.
If you start now, you'll make it by July.
Yeah, that's right. But no, I think that was a good balance they had, where it's like fighting discrimination, but also, there is differences, but, who cares, was basically, that's at least how I interpreted it. So I thought that was a good way to sort of balance out, are you going to go right, are you going to go left, and it was kind of in the middle. So, yeah, it was very gutsy of them to make a kid's movie like that, but you can forgive a lot because it's, animated animals and not people, so.
Yeah, and I think this is a great movie to show to kids, and this is what I'm talking about when people are like, it's a kid's movie. I'm like, no, don't give me that nonsense. If a movie's bad, it's bad. I don't care if it's meant for kids or adults, because we can get movies that are meant for both. Kids' movies are best when they are simply kid friendly. Like when there are movies that are meant for everybody, when they are family films. Minions is not a family film. Minions is a film marketed towards 4-year-old little Jimmy that's just gonna start quoting the Minions all year and want to buy Minions merchandise. No. Zootopia is a family film that subtly teaches kids lessons on discrimination and prejudice and whatnot, and how to handle it, and just kind of like acknowledge that it doesn't matter what they are. And that's a way to kind of teach kids at a very young age that it's okay to accept people if they're different. And, Inside Out is kind of the same way with emotions and feelings, in a way of like, well, I don't know if joy wanted me to, like, it's a way for kids to manifest what they're feeling with when they're growing up. And so I think whenever and there are certain things that I guess like it's a very cliched film in certain aspects. You know, it's a cop movie, so you know, take the cliches as you have them, but then it is a family film, so it's not going to have the most complex and, you know, developed of stories, but it's where the theming is where it shines, and I really enjoyed Zootopia. It's my favorite film of the year so far, probably. I think, if I remember that correctly.
Really, of the year so far?
Well, because, like, you know, it's 10 Cloverfield Lane is great, but of course, like I said, I had some problems, you know, especially in the film's final few minutes. I liked, but I did not love Deadpool. I enjoyed Kung Fu Panda 3, and Dawn of Justice I thought was trash. So yeah, I think out of the films I've seen this year, Zootopia is probably still my favorite. Yeah, I really enjoyed Zootopia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
9 out of 10. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all I got to say to it. Okay. Should we move on to our feature?
What do you give it out of 10? Zootopia.
Oh, I always forget to give ratings.
That's mine here.
I give it maybe a 7 out of 10, just because I think it could have been funnier.
Really? I was laughing my tits off the whole time. I don't know. I laughed a lot.
I think the funniest bit was the sloth in the DMV kind of thing, but I actually saw that entire scene as a preview. Yeah. For, you know, when I went to took my nephew to go see Goosebumps, so I kind of knew that scene. But God, that was funny.
when they stamp the paper and the paper slowly falls off, that gets me every time. I don't know why that's so. I like when he's in the car at the end and like he rolls down the window. Hey, I loved that. Yeah, the sloths were great. I really liked when they made the popsicles for the little gerbils. That was great. All the Godfather references and whatnot, but that's whatever. Okay. All right, man.
There were a few little things that did kind of bother me that normally shouldn't bother me in an animated movie.
The twist sucked, but I don't know. It's just me.
For some reason, because it was a detective kind of story a lot, it seemed to bother me. Like, she's kind of getting the fox to help her out because she's recorded the thing on his carrot, and I'm like, well, just snatch it and smash it. You know, you don't. Yeah. You know, if I was a fox, that's what I do. I just snatch it and smash it. Or at the end where she's like, haha, I recorded your confession. I'm like, well, just, you know, she's trapped. Just go in there and get it. But then, of course, there are all the cops around. But yeah, little things like that. That's the only reason I don't give it higher than a 7. Okay. But overall, it's, very good movie.
No, you still liked it, which is, I probably give Deadpool like a 7 or 7.5. So yeah, it's all right. Okay, Bandit, let's get to our feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, guys, this is our feature presentation. We are here to talk Daredevil Season 2. It's been out on Netflix for about 2-3 weeks now. So that begs question, Bandit, are we going just full spoilers? Probably, yeah, full spoilers or no?
Do you want to just read full spoilers?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now, I want to try this format again because I want to see if this could work. I guess because we both really overall enjoyed it this season 2 of Daredevil. So I think what we should do is to divide the conversation. We'll go negatives and then into positives. That way we can end on a happy note. Yeah. So I'll ask you, Bandit. What were some of your negatives that you had with Daredevil season 2?
Okay, well. This is what you tried to do with Batman v Superman. It fell apart very quickly. But
well, that's because we had 3 people. That's because we had 3 people, and you were very upset. So yes. Yeah.
So negatives for Daredevil. This. Well, look. Let me just say first of all, I absolutely loved season 2.
Yeah, general thoughts.
Absolutely loved it. General thoughts. Yeah, absolutely loved season 2. I got to say, my favorite part of Daredevil is still Wilson Fisk. Kingpin. I still love Kingpin. Whenever he's on screen, I love that character and I love that actor and I love everything about him and I really love just seeing him pummel people. It's really cool. And I think it's a great job of because that actor's he's a big dude, but he's not necessarily huge. But they do a really good job of filming him in a way that he seems. How do I?
Oh, okay. You mean like big, fame? You didn't mean big, famous. Okay, you mean like big, size wise?
Oh, yeah, he's a big dude. Physically, because Kingpin's supposed to be 6'9" or something, and this massive guy. Yeah. And that actor's obviously not that big, but they film him in such a way where you're
I feel like they padded his clothing in this season. I don't think he put on all that weight. I don't know. I feel like because he was in Jurassic World last year, and he's not that big of a he's not that fat of a guy.
He wasn't he? Yeah.
He's honestly my favorite part about Jurassic World, but I don't like saying that out loud because I feel like people are gonna yell at me for it. People are always like, "He's the worst available." I'm like, he was having a nice time, but that's whatever.
Well, I guess he got fatter because like initially there he was having to eat the prison food, and it wasn't until he takes over that he's able to eat his nice steaks again. So
yeah. Probably the best interrogation scene since Dark Knight. I don't know. Like, good God. Okay, general thoughts.
But you asked what's a negative? Like, first negative I give as a positive. But I think the first negative is, like, similar to Jessica Jones. Like, Trilbee said, like, with Jessica Jones, and I feel the same thing here, where it feels like it's about 3 episodes too long.
Yes! Oh my God, yes!
And it's maybe... Because what is it? This was like a weird number, like 12 episodes, was it? Or was it 13?
Well, they're all 13 episodes.
Yeah, but for some reason, it seems like that number of episodes is sort of like a weird number for Netflix, where it's a bit you either have a little bit too much or a little bit like not enough. It just I don't know. It's maybe they could see about just adjusting the number for
Well, a regular show will have between 22 and 26 episodes. So, like Flash has like 23 episodes a season, and so Walking Dead Season 2 had like 16 episodes. No, Walking Dead Season 2 had 13 episodes, and now they're at 16. So, I think if they had like 10 episodes flat, perfect. Because once again, like, by the time they get to like episodes 7, like in 8ish, around that time I was like, oh man, I'm getting sleepy. The Netflix high is over. It sucks, and because like that's when they introduce Elektra, and for me, the start Elektra's introduction was not working for me because I wasn't feeling pulled in like I was when Punisher was around.
Yeah, at that point where Punisher sort of goes away for a bit and Elektra steps in, those episodes were not that great. I mean, they were fine. But yeah, it's just I was like, I want to get back to Punisher.
It's not until we see Fisk in the prison with the Punisher, and we start seeing the Hand that things start getting back on track. So
It's like the whole of season 2. If you look at it as like one thing, it's a bit like Return of the Jedi. Starts out really strong, ends really strong, sags in the middle in a big way, and unfortunately, a lot of that stuff
Jedi
is
ended
around
strong.
Elektra.
I'll agree with that. I thought Jedi ended strong, but I had my qualms with the Sarlacc bit myself. But we've already talked about that.
But season 2 sags in the middle is the point. Yeah,
it does.
Unfortunately, a lot of that is around Elektra, which is a shame because
she's good.
I didn't like that character. I mean, I love the actor, but I was like, man, she's such a horrible snob.
I liked young Elektra a lot more than regular modern day Elektra. I feel like college Elektra, when she and Matt Murdock are in college, and we get to see what Foggy was referencing in season 1 when he's like, back when you dated that Greek girl, we get to see what that meant, and and we see kind of how sadistic. And is sadistic the word we get when you get pleasure from pain? I think that's the word I'm thinking of when and we see like Matt Murdock is beating this guy to a pulp, and she's over there like getting off to it. And I think it's such an interesting bit for the character to go, and I was enjoying all of that. It's when they cut back to modern Elektra, and I'm like, I don't see why Matt Murdock loves his character so much. Yeah. I see why he loved her back when they were in college, because they were stupid college kids. But now, like, no, Matt Murdock's a lot different than he was back then. I don't see it. But
yeah, I thought that as well. I was like, why has she made such a big impact that, like, the love of his life? Because, like, if they met when he's already Daredevil and she's the first person that he can share his double life with, then I could understand why he's, like, have a special bond. But at the time when he meets her in university, he's not even close to being Daredevil yet. So I don't know why he fell in love with her in such a big way. Yeah, I agree.
I think, and another negative I have is sticking with Elektra. The fact that they killed her, quote unquote killed, I know she's coming back, but they killed her. They did the iconic shot from the comic where she gets stabbed with her own scythe, and but in the comic it's a bullseye, and they even did it in the Ben Affleck movie from a couple of years, or from like a decade ago, where Bullseye stabs Elektra through the abdomen with her own scythe, and they do that here, but I think it's Nobu that does it, which I wasn't a fan of, because I feel like Bullseye is supposed to be like, this season was all, if season 1 was all about setting up Matt Murdock and setting up Daredevil and showing that this is his city, then season 2 is really essentially that all crumbling down and showing that, you know, this world is not as controlled by you as you think it is. You know, you may have taken down Wilson Fisk, but he's going to come back. And I think season 3 is supposed to be him dealing with the fact that he's now lost everything. And that should I think that should have been where Kingpin gets out of jail and he finds the assassin. He's like, I need you to take out a friend of mine, you know, and you know, that's my best Wilson Fisk. And then you bring in Bullseye.
Pretty good.
Thank you. It's like, I need you, and then you bring in Bullseye, and because in the comics, Bullseye kills Karen Page with the billy club to the face. I think they're going to do that in season 3. Yeah. I think they're going to do that. Like, not like bludgeon to death. But like, I think he hits it to the point to where he like cracks her skull on the inside. Something. Anyway, she dies on impact.
Well, I'm fine with that character dying because
we'll get to her.
Yeah,
but it's. I think they should have saved the Elektra death, because how great would it be if to show that Bullseye, you know, he may not be as powerful as Wilson Fisk, but my God, is he deadly? You know, he's like, I never miss, and he takes down 2 of Matt Murdock's loves. That would have been great, but now they've kind of wasted that shot. I don't know.
Well, I think the best parts of the season are the first couple of episodes that's just Punisher versus Daredevil. They were so good.
Oh my God!
And the episode of Kingpin taking over the prison were, I think, the best parts of the whole season, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I really liked that it started with that whole conflict with Punisher and that, because it dealt with something that I took issue with in the first season, which is like, I'm all in favor of like, you know, certain characters that don't kill, and then other characters like Punisher that do kill. That's fine. You need a mix up. But one of the things I brought up in season 1 is like, Daredevil's got the no killing rule, but like comic book Batman, again, I'm not going to open up Batman v Superman can of worms, but like comic book Batman, he doesn't kill people, but that's because he's got Commissioner Gordon as an ally, so he can beat up the cops and then hand the criminals over to Commissioner Gordon to clean up the streets. But Daredevil in season 1, he didn't have anyone to sort of hand the criminals over to get them off the streets, so he beat them up, they'd recover, and then just come back out on the streets again looking for him with double the vengeance. And he's like, I don't think I'm making a difference. It's like, you're not really. So I like that Punisher in this.
Yeah.
And like even in season 1, like all the other gangs that got taken out, Daredevil didn't do that. It was actually Fisk who took out all the rival gangs. It wasn't
with a car door and a vengeance.
He'd either take them out or he'd make an alliance with them and bring them in, and so that everything settles down on the streets. So Kingpin did more to clean up the streets than Daredevil did. So I liked that in the start of season 2 we got Punisher, who's like, you don't make a difference. I do what you can't. Like he says, you hit them and they get back up. I hit them and they go back down. So I love that, because that was something that I had in my mind. And that whole thing where they argue when he's chained to the chimney on the roof is fantastic.
The ideologies... I'll get to the ideologies really in a minute, but I wanted to focus on another issue I had, because I'm not sure if I like this season more than the first, because I thought the first was really great because you had the dynamic of Wilson Fisk and how they really essentially are 2 sides of the same coin in the worst kind of way.
Yeah.
But I think I loved Foggy Nelson in the first season because he was Matt Murdock's opposite end of the spectrum. Every time Max Murdock got shanked by a criminal in the evening, or hooked in the shoulder by Nobu, you know, or had to deal with Wilson Fisk, you know, throwing him against a wall, he'd be able to go and find Foggy Nelson, and the audience would get to relax and deal with Foggy and lawyer stuff and Karen Page and all that whatnot. However, in this season, you know, keeping with the theme of Murdock's world falling apart, you know, Nelson gives up on him, like maybe like what, episode 4 or 5? Like he just drops him. He gives up on him. He says, you know what, I'm done with you, and then we can't, like, they are essentially, they're not friends anymore, which could work if Foggy was not aware that he was Daredevil. But the fact that Foggy knows that every night Matt is going out attempting to save people, save lives, and probably he got shot in the head once, he got shanked quite a bit, and he gets beaten to a pulp almost every night.
Yeah. And
so there's no reason for Foggy to be so upset when Matt shows up late to a court case. Granted, Foggy didn't want to take the court case. Yeah. Granted, Foggy didn't want to take the court case in the first place, but that's really no excuse for him. He should be like, look, I'm mad at you, but I understand why you're doing this, so I'm gonna have to cover for you. 3, and we'll talk about this later. None of that.
It would have made more sense if he understood earlier on that he's doing it because he's out doing the vigilante stuff with Elektra, because then he could be like, why are you bothering to help her and not me, But because he didn't even know that, he just thinks he's out doing his crime fighting stuff. But I mean, granted, Daredevil, like, he didn't even want the case. Daredevil forced them to take the case, so granted but I agree, like, give him a break. You know what he's doing.
Look, I'm not saying you can't be mad, but don't shut down Nelson and Murdoch or whatever. Yeah. Or don't give up on Nelson and Murdoch because your friend is going out and beating criminals every night. Like, I think, granted, I really did enjoy that plot point. I just didn't think that I don't think Eldon Henson as Foggy Nelson portrayed that well enough. I don't know. I feel like there's something that didn't connect with me there. I
remember when I watched that scene though. Just trying to remember when I watched that scene, I was kind of on Foggy's side because I was kind of like, I'd probably be like, hey, look, you obviously can't do your job if you want to be Daredevil, but I'm going to go my own way. I'd probably do the same thing.
If I fought crime every Sunday night, if I dressed up as a Jedi every Sunday night, and I fought crime, and I told you, I feel like, I don't know. I don't think you would be where have I heard that analogy before? Did they talk about that on Weekly Planet? I feel like it's from the Weekly Planet. You know what?
Yeah, I went back and I re-listened to it because I skipped it because I hadn't finished the season yet, but I went back and re-listened before, and I heard them talking about the screening room too. So
that wasn't planned.
No, but what was I going to say is, but one thing from season 1 is I thought, like, there's lots of great superheroing stuff, but part of me was like, I would like to see Matt Murdock do some of his lawyering. I would like to see him do some more lawyering stuff, kind of like in, God, sorry to keep going back to Batman v Superman. It's in a positive way, though. But like in Batman v Superman, there's a bit where Alfred says to him, like, the Bat interrogated 6 people, but Bruce Wayne is the one who got the information. So I would have liked to see a bit of that with, like, Daredevil, that his lawyering side. So when that court case with the Punisher came in, I was like, oh, good, now maybe we'll be able to see him do some lawyering. No. Goes off with Elektra the whole time. And let me ask you this. At first, the reason he's going off with Elektra is because she's kind of blackmailing him, because she knows he's Daredevil. Here's the thing, Daredevil. Like, just say to her, I'm not going to help you. And if she says, hey, I'll tell people you're Daredevil, just say, go ahead. I'm blind. No one's going to believe you. Like, that guy's Daredevil. You could just be like, I'm blind. How could I be Daredevil? He's got the perfect defense.
I don't even know who just said that. What do you mean? I'm pointing at you. I can't see your finger. Yeah. It's like, well, I know you have a red suit. I don't know what red is. Yeah, like.
So it's like you don't have to. But I guess he was in love with her, or whatever. So, but I do like with Elektra though. Like when she first comes in, and he's doing the vigilante stuff. I was thinking, I'm like, why is she doing this? Like, what's her reason? And that was starting to bother me until it's revealed that Stick trained her and all that. Yeah. But do you think there was like too much weird conspiracy stuff going on and too many different factions? Because, like, I mean, you got Daredevil, you got Punisher, you got the guy Punisher's going after, who is the blacksmith, who is a whole different thing. Then you got the Yakuza.
That's stupid. No.
But then you also got the Hand, that is not the same as the Yakuza. Then you've also got Kingpin, who's loosely aligned with the Yakuza, possibly the Hand. Then you got this Black Storm, whatever it was called, thing.
Black Sky.
It's like it was too much going on, and I was like,
I think
just keep it good guys, bad guys. It's too complicated. Do we need a conspiracy around Punisher's family getting shot? No, his family got shot. Though. That's all you need.
I liked how they used. I don't like how long they kept it going, but I do like how initially, we see just how crooked the system is and how what was the chick's name, the DA, who, by the way, when she's talking about, like, she threatened my daughter, I'm like, I don't care. I remember sitting there and shouting at the television. She's like, I'm nervous. This has gone too far. My daughter's in danger. I'm like, I don't care. You've been nothing but mean to me, and now when you're in danger, they want your help. No, suffer. Goodbye. It's like when they made Cersei do the shame walk in Game of Thrones. I'm like, I don't care. You can cry all you want, Cersei. I don't care. Everyone's like, I felt so bad. I'm like, I didn't. Goodbye. You keep walking, please. Shame. I got shame. I would have joined the crowd. But it's
I did like when she gets machine gunned down though. Like,
I was clapping.
I did like that. You could immediately tell though. Like, you're like, There's no way that's Punisher, because he would not have shot... If he was going to... Especially when Karen's in the room. Is it Karen or Carol?
Karen.
Especially Karen's in the room. Punisher would not have machine gunned the room like that, knowing she's in there, because he wouldn't want to risk hitting her. Or the others. He would have at least waited till they left the room. So I was like, that's not Punisher.
He probably would have sniped her. Yeah. Because Punisher... Yeah, he's... Yeah. Punisher's not unless it's like a room full of bad guys, he's not going to machine gun just an area. Like it's like what he said at the hospital. He's like, I shot you. I wasn't going to shoot you. It's like, yeah. You got to save him, Rick. Sorry. I got a lot of like Shane flashbacks for some of this. Like he'll talk like when sometimes people are tied up, like he'll kneel down in front of someone to like do the head tilt, like, oh hey, it's Shane. Yeah.
I did really like him as the Punisher though. I think he did a really good job.
He was great. This is the definitive Punisher. I think
yeah, and I like how they wove in the skull thing as the X-ray.
Yes,
and even the armor he gets at the end, like it doesn't have the skull logo on it, but it kind of is shaped like that. And but then he did paint it on, didn't he? Yeah,
but I think the skull. I think using that X-ray, the skull now symbolizes. Whatever happened, whatever made him survive, the skull shows that he now has a second chance.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's his symbol now, because that's when the Punisher was born in that moment.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Exactly. That was when he said, "I'm going to fight crime and avenge what happened to my family," and the skull's why. I think that it's great, and I'm so. I've said this before. They really need to cross over these guys with the regular MCU, because I'm so ready.
I don't want that.
I'm so ready for a Spider-Man Punisher crossover.
I want to see mini Avengers in the Defenders. I'm really keen to see Luke Cage and Jessica Jones show up, but I don't want to see Iron Man show up.
I just want to see Spider-Man. I just want to see Spider-Man with these guys. I'm not saying they have to be like they have to chill out with Thor and Captain America and the Avengers Tower, but like crossing over these universe. Like this doesn't have to be Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think there is a very special line of like in the comics you never usually saw Captain America, Iron Man, and the Punisher sit down and have a chat and have a beer together. Usually when they talked, it was over a big event. But more often than not, you would see Spider-Man and Daredevil have a thing going on, a thing in terms of like a comic series. You would have Punisher and Spider-Man have a thing. Like Spider-Man crosses over a lot more into this Netflix world than you think. Like Jessica Jones and Peter Parker went to the same high school, at least in the comics. I'm not sure if that counts now, technically, because Jessica Jones is like now like what, her 30s now, and Spider-Man's 19 or 16 in the movies. But and they referenced Spider-Man and Jessica Jones as I mentioned months ago. But I think. And plus,
they had Trinity from The Matrix show up from Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
But she didn't have cuts all over her from the death of 1,000 cuts that she got from her girlfriend or ex-wife. So it must have been set before the events of Jessica Jones.
Or it's just bad continuity, and she didn't want to put makeup on. My thing is like you have Wilson Wilson Fisk. Like Wilson Fisk is one of the heads of the Sinister Six. He's a Spider-Man villain. Also, Kingpin is also a Spider-Man villain as well as a Daredevil villain. So there's crossover there. So I really want to see Punisher and Spider. Like as a comic book reader, as a Spider-Man fan, seeing Spider-Man and Punisher would make my day. It's just I don't know. I'm not saying there has to be a major crossover, but there's a line.
Yeah. Well, what was I going to say?
Sorry.
I think it's interesting, though, because, we always talk about how, like, the difference between, like, the Marvel and the MCU is Marvel's all light and funny and DC is dark. Isn't it amazing we've got Marvel Netflix that is so dark now?
Yeah.
Because it's, like, sort of mixes the best of both, and I'm like, this is really great.
Yeah.
But before we move away from...
It's called storytelling, yes.
Yes. Isn't it great when you actually have a story? Granted, if it goes a little bit too long, but whatever. But before we move on from Punisher, I was thinking, with this whole thing where Karen spending so much time investigating what really went down with that shootout, and they do the reveal of like, oh, the undercover cop got shot. What I thought the reveal was going to be was that shootout happened because dirty cops tipped the gangs off as to who the undercovers were in their group. So that's why they're like, oh, that guy's the undercover, shoot him, and that triggers the gunfight. So I thought it would end with Punisher tracking down the dirty cops. But no, it's like, hey, remember that guy 5 episodes ago who had one scene?
I
Here
sure
he is
did
again.
I vaguely, I'm like, have I heard his voice before? Has he narrated a Dodge commercial? Like, no, he was the general that was talking. Like, I don't remember this guy at all. So it wasn't until after I saw the season and I looked up online and was like, this guy's the blacksmith. I'm like, oh, well, that's what they were getting for. Okay, that's cool, I guess. I had no idea that's what they were going for. That was not foreshadowed at all.
I thought they were going to make it like his war against the dirty cops, which could link back into Wilson Fisk, and could be like an interesting new sort of like line that should I cross this line or not? Because like I kill criminals, but these guys are still cops, but they're dirty cops. So I thought that could have been a new interesting thing, but no, I guess not.
Would you like to see a Punisher series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I think my thing is that I don't want, because the last thing I need to do is have Punisher be boring. So and Punisher is not a boring character, but Netflix, because right now for me, Marvel and Netflix have only done Daredevil well. In terms of the series, they've done 2 great seasons of Daredevil and the mediocrity that was Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
and now,
they've done half a good season with Jessica Jones.
I'd say
Speaking
5
of
episodes.
which, how much time did you spend thinking, oh, it'd be great if Kilgrave was in that prison? Because I spent a lot of time thinking that as I was all
and
the prison
again,
stuff.
how great would it be if Kilgrave fought Daredevil? That would have been amazing.
Yes, wouldn't it? Like, why did she have to kill him at the end of Jessica Jones? It would have been great. Like, maybe they could just make a reference of, like, you know, the guy in the glass box in the basement or something like that. But he's dead now,
or like,
so I guess
you have you have cops walking in with earbuds on, like earplugs in, and like kind of like Magneto in the plastic prison, you know, like, and you faintly hear like very faint screaming in the background. You're like, oh, that's Kilgrave trying to give commands, you know. It's like, because David Tennant's so good.
Would have been great if they keep him alive, but found a way to like scale his powers back down so he can't use it over the phone or a loudspeaker or anything. Would have been great if they could do that, and then we could have him again.
Oh, how great! Like, all you have to do,
he could rig up some like special.
That's what I was gonna say.
So yeah,
like you have them share a cell. How great would like Kingpin sits down, like the wall pans over, and like it pans through the wall, and you just see Kilgrave sitting on the other side. Yeah. His jumpsuit happens to be purple, and Kingpin's happens to be white, and every comic book fan just starts crying. Yeah, there's a.
That'd be so good.
Wasted potential. just bring him back, please.
Oh,
I don't care.
Kilgrave!
Bring him back.
Why did you have to die?
Just bring him back, please. He was so great. He's the best.
Yeah,
he's one of the best villains.
Put him in that weird Japanese resurrection box. Bring him back.
He's one of the best villains they've ever done in terms of Marvel, like at all in this cinematic universe. Like the Netflix villains have all been amazing. Like, well, I guess.
Well, I think Kingpin's also really, really good.
That's what I'm saying. Like for me, Kingpin rivaled. Like I thought Ultron was done really well in Age of Ultron, just because he actually had a personality and had some actual weird depth to him. But I think Kingpin just blew that out of the water for me. You know, so I just
my favorite scene of like the whole season was after Punisher cuts down half of a cell block of prisoners, and he's locked up in that thing, and Kingpin goes in and they have that fight. That whole conversation and that fight and all that was my favorite bit of the entire season. I watched it 4 times. I was like, Kingpin's great. I love Kingpin. I love the way that even when he's face to face with someone like Punisher, who's could try to shank you, he stands there and he's always got his hands behind his back. He's clasping his hands behind his back like Prince Charles or something. I love that about him. That he's I'm not even going to have my hands in front of me so I could block a punch, because I know that if you throw a punch, it's going to be bad for you.
The line that's just and I will spend more than $6 on postage to ruin your life. I was like,
that was great
God.
too. Yeah,
he's and then Matt's no, it was not Nelson. It was just he's no, you two brought me down. I was like, good God. My favorite scene. If we're going to favorite scenes though,
yeah.
I gotta go. Okay, so it's Daredevil, right? He's walking down the hallway. He thinks he's took down all the guys. He's trying to get Punisher into the elevator. The elevator door starts to close, and you hear this old man walks out, and these guys start attacking this old man, and we see a billy club. Bam! Block the elevator door. Elevator door opens. Daredevil walks back out, and we get this 10-minute action sequence from the hallway to the stairs with a chain, a gun tied to his hand. That was just, I was every time the camera started panning over, I'm like, do I smell a one-take action sequence? And this time I did. And it's my favorite scene. That was
an awesome
so
fight scene
great.
too.
Oh my God. Like this is why the Batman Superman fights suck. Like, except maybe the Batman fight because
for that Batman fight,
because you can see you can see things. The camera's kind of still, and even when it's shaky, you can tell what's going on. And B, it feels like someone's actually getting hurt. It feels like there's stakes. Like, even though I know Daredevil's not going to die because it's only episode 3, when he throws a guy. When a guy looks up, or a guy looks down, and Daredevil throws a chain around the guy's back and chucks him down a flight of stairs.
Yeah,
and throws a wrench at him. Like, man, that was, oh my god, that was so great. That fight is incredible.
Yeah.
That's my favorite scene.
One fight scene which really wasn't good if we're doing the positive to negative system.
Yeah,
I think the giant showdown at the end was really badly done. Well, maybe not really badly done, but because they're building it up that we go to the roof, there's going to be hundreds of ninjas there, and there's like 4 in a line. I was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Where were all the ninjas?
That was my thing. Okay, yeah.
And I expected, like, I know on the Weekly Planet they talk about how Punisher was supposed to show up with a minigun and minigun them all. I didn't notice that.
Nick Mason was so bad.
But I was waiting for Punisher to show up. I was like, any minute now, Punisher's going to be like, hey, Red, I'll help you out. Don't worry, I put rubber bullets in because I know you get butthurt about me killing people or something like that.
Let him watch. Let him watch. It's a good movie.
But he didn't really have that much to do in the end. And I was like, I really want to see the 3 of them all together. And
I wanted to see something like, have you seen Old Boy? There's a shot. They're like in Old Boy when he's taking like 40 guys at once. Like, it's not. I mean, the hallway and the stairway fight is cool, but what I'm looking for is like a shot the camera's like sliding over, and you just see Daredevil like slide under a guy, hit him. Elektra jumps through, stabs a guy in the face. And
that's what you're expecting once they get to the roof. It builds you up to a fight like that, but it just doesn't happen.
80 ninjas just like rush the building. You're like, oh man, they're screwed. And then they fight like 12. And you're like, wait, well, and then like one happens to get Elektra, and you're like, okay, yeah.
Well, I did like though, like that Nobu. When we first see Nobu in season 1, did he have the burned face, like the scar face?
Because Daredevil burned him alive in the
that's what season. I thought, because I thought it's good because it shows that thing can bring you back to life, but it doesn't fully heal you. He still had like weird melted skin sort of thing. So it's sort of like that's the closest thing we get to an explanation as to exactly what that resurrection pod thing does.
Yeah.
But, that was not very well done either.
Yeah.
Also, don't put the teaser in of Elektra coming right back to life. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Save it for a surprise in
nice
season
to see.
3.
It was nice to see her in her classic red outfit. That was a nice little nod. But the same... Yeah. But, I was fine with... Also, if we're talking about costumes, how incredible is Daredevil's costume in this season? Like, after really he gets his mask fit... Like, I understand now the mask was the problem with the costume. It felt like, he was kind of mashed into the costume, and, like, it felt like he was uncomfortable. But this time, like, it's a comic on the screen. Like, they literally just slanted it over and made it into modern day. Like, it's not leathery. It's armor, and it looks great. I loved every time he goes and talks to Melvin Potter, I think is the guy's name. He's just like, I don't know if Betty would like this, but check this out. This is a billy club. I'm like, hey, he's got his own Lucius Fox. It was really cool to see the Daredevil costume.
That's right. Yeah.
I have a question here. Oh, go ahead.
Go for it. Yeah.
Well, it's like I have some listener questions here if you want to get into those.
Right.
But you can go ahead.
The other thing I was going to say is I did sort of get a kick out of as the hand starts to show up and they're all ninjas and Daredevil has to go down into the sewers to get him. I did get a kick out of the whole Ninja Turtle comparison. As it was unfolding, because for those who don't know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the comic book, was actually spawned out of being a sort of parody spoof of Daredevil, because the idea was that the toxic waste that hits Daredevil in the face and makes him blind, after that it bounces into the sewer and infects the Ninja Turtles, and they become the Ninja Turtles. And like Daredevil has his mentor called Stick, so that's why the Ninja Turtles have Splinter. You know, he fights the hand, Ninja Turtles fight the foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we started to see all those parallels, especially when Daredevil goes into the sewers, I was like, oh, this is great. It's kind of like...
All you needed was like a little turtle in the corner.
You just needed to like, you know, beat someone with his bat and then just be like, cowabunga, man, or something like that.
Or like he'll still like you see like a pizza box like on the floor or something, and he'll step on him like, huh? Yeah. Or you see Michael Bay in the corner printing money. Yeah, you know. Yeah. Either way, just you know. Don't read my question.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so Joshua Udy on the Facebook Movie Mania, where you guys can go and we ask listener questions every week. This one's about Daredevil, so I decided to read it. Joshua Udy, E-U-D-Y, however you say that, he says, do you think Charlie Cox will work well in a team setting, considering he will have to do so with the Defenders coming up?
Which one's Charlie Cox again?
Matt Murdock.
Oh, yeah, he'll work in a good team thing.
I'm excited for the dynamic.
Maybe Punisher's character might not work well in a team setting. You need to have a good reason.
I don't think they're gonna put Punisher in the Defenders. He might just kind of be around. I don't know. Punisher was never really he's not really a big team player. Like I remember there's this part in Civil War where they bring in some supervillains and he just guns them down, and they're just like, what was that for? It's like, oh, I gotta take him down. Yeah, it's like,
well, I guess he and Jessica Jones will get along well because they both kill people. So
yeah. I guess. I don't know.
Luke Cage as well, yeah.
I don't know. Did you see the Luke Cage teaser?
No, I didn't. What is it?
It's alright. It's just him in a bar, and like these guys start shooting him, and the bullets bounce off, and he's like, "I'm getting real tired of having to buy new clothes." And then like and then it's like Luke Cage, rap music, da 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 da, September. And we're just like, okay, great, I'll be there. Yeah. So it comes out. That comes out in September.
So he's getting his own series. I thought it was a teaser that he'll be in the next couple episodes of Daredevil.
Yeah, no, they're giving Luke Cage his own show, and I think they're giving Iron Fist. Iron Fist gets his own show, I think, sometime next year. Yeah, and so,
I think that's a bit unnecessary to give Luke Cage his own show. I mean, we kind of already got enough. I want to see them start joining together. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, I was really hoping that we were going to get some kind of crossover with Jessica Jones. Like, we got a name drop from her in the season, you know.
Yeah.
Talking to her. But, like, I'm so... how cool would it have been if it just, like, you know, we have a lawyer... We have, like, you know, in Jessica Jones, you know, she's sitting in the police station. She's like, and you see these two guys walk in. He's like, oh, don't worry, man. We're her lawyers. And it's Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson. That's all you gotta do, man. Man. Hey.
Yeah, totally.
See Matt Murdock's bloodied face, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "Sorry, I have fun nights." And it's like, oh my god, it's
funny as well, isn't it, that not more people ask Matt Murdock, "Why do you have two black eyes if you're a blind man?" Especially towards the second half of the season, he's really busted up, and you see him walking around with his cane, and you're like, more people would look at this guy and go, "What's happened to him?"
Yeah, how crazy was it when he lost his hearing? That was like
great, but they didn't really do anything with it.
I think it was an idea that I wish they would have like imagine like he, you know, maybe that's how Elektra dies, right? She's fighting the ninjas. Matt Murdock suddenly can't hear, so he can't hear a ninja sneak up on and stab Elektra in the back or something. That's but I feel like that's a way to kind of call back to what happened. But it was so cool to see him like sit down and like ultimately, at that point he is helpless. All he has is his touch and his smell. So he's like, that smells like fire. Don't go near the fire. But like he can't because that's what he's been doing his whole life. He's been hearing things, and he basically sees with his ears.
Yeah.
You know,
he's basically going blind again.
Yeah. So that was.
They should have made that a thing throughout the course of the season. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Maybe when he's trying to do his lawyering, suddenly his hearing gives out and he can't even finish questioning, something like that.
And that way you can have Foggy kind of freak out at him. That's kind of a better reason for Foggy to freak out at him.
Then Foggy would be like, see, that's why you can't be a lawyer and a vigilante. You got to pick. So.
Yeah. See,
there you go.
Man, we should write our own show. We could be Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, man. Just write a Daredevil script. Win us an Emmy. Okay, what do you think about Karen Page?
look, I don't like Karen Page, okay?
Sexist.
I don't like Karen Page because, look, here's a couple of things. Like, first of all, remember Ben from the first season who got strangled by Kingpin? That was a big deal because in the comics he sticks around and is a big thing. Now, I don't like that they killed him, but now he's been basically replaced by the bald guy with the beard, right? So they killed the black guy, replaced him with a white guy. But then, remember, Kingpin had Wesley, who was his right-hand man, who got shot by Karen. And now it looks like Kingpin's got a new assistant, which is the black guy in the prison. So in this case, they killed the white guy, replaced him with the black guy. Look, all these, don't kill a character and then just replace them with an equivalent. If you're not gonna, if you need an equivalent, then just keep Ben around, just keep Wesley around.
Well,
and both of those choices are related to Karen, and I don't like her.
The bearded guy in the glasses was in the first season. He was Ben's boss, so I think that makes more sense for him to be around. Though I'll give you the black assistant. They really were trying to be like, I'm Wesley 2.0. I'm like, nah, man, you can't replace Wesley. He's too great, man. I'm sorry, you ruined it.
I was upset when Wesley got shot. I kind of
that and Ben's death were like two of the deaths. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like when Kingpin's in Ben's apartment, I was like, no. I remember yelling at the TV. I was like, no. And but when
I really don't care at all about anything Karen's doing. I've never really cared about her.
No,
so like if we're talking about trimming episodes, get rid of her stuff and just sort of shorten the stuff with Elektra in the middle, maybe. And I don't like. Yeah.
Like, and I mentioned this briefly about Sansa in Game of Thrones. And I guess we'll get more to that later on in the weeks. But like, they establish that she has a certain kind of personality, and then they'll just like flip that out of nowhere for no apparent reason. Like sometimes she'll be super strong, super motivated, and super kind of but still human. Like she'll be kind of shaken, like in danger, but she'll still be strong about it. And then other times she'll start flipping out for no reason. Like, and it's very inconsistent. Like sometimes like she'll be talking, she'll be like, Frank Castle's not a murderer. You know, like she'll like even when they all got shot through the room, like Karen was talking. And she didn't look super disheveled, but suddenly she realized when Frank goes to kill the blacksmith, she's sitting there, she starts crying her eyes out. I'm like, what are you doing? You can't establish one aspect and then suddenly flip on it for no reason. Yeah. And
you know what I don't like is her story arc with Punisher.
Yeah, sorry. She was a love triangle, but whatever. Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that as well. But also, like, her story arc from Punisher is basically exactly the same as what she had with Daredevil in the first one. She was trying to prove, no, the man in black, the devil of Hell's Kitchen, he's actually a good guy. Now she's trying to prove, now the Punisher's actually a good guy. Like, what character are they going to bring along in season 3 that she's now like, oh, I'm convinced they're a good guy?
Bullseye's a good guy.
Kingpin's a good guy. It's like, shut up, Karen. Stop jumping from vigilante to vigilante.
It reminds me of Weekly Planet when talking about like guy Gary, about the guy who has all the ideas and everyone just shoots it down. It's like, shut up, Gary. No one likes you. Yeah, I think, and I said that. I remember when I did my review of the first season like a year or so ago. I said, and look, give Karen more to do. Give Karen more to do next season, and that doesn't mean to continue to be a love triangle for Matt and Foggy. And what did they do?
Well, they kind of did give her more to do. It's just that it wasn't really interesting or important in the end.
Look, not everything's going to be perfect. I think for every good, there are some bads, but I think because even though all the Karen stuff sucked, I was willing to sit through it because she was usually surrounded by the Punisher, and Frank Castle or John Bernthal is so good as Frank Castle that I could just sit there and watch him all day. He's so great, and I want to see because there's so much depth and there's so much anguish. Like when she's like, "I was in your house," he's like, "You were what?" I was like he was like he's in a hospital bed or he's on the He's in the graveyard, and he's telling the story of when he saw his daughter.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah. And he's like, because there are YouTube videos of that actually out there of dads, surprising their kids back home from war. The best are when dogs see them back from war. That's the best. Those make you cry. But like, like he tells the story when his daughter saw him. He got back from war, how she was crying, so he started crying, and then he got home, and he's just like, One Shot, Two Shot, Penny and Dime, the children's book, and it's like,
he was too tired to read it to her. He's like, I'll read it to you tomorrow night. And then he never got the chance to.
He's
So
like,
I was like, yeah, when he tells that story, you're like, yeah, I understand why he went nuts. Most people would go nuts. You know, you survive war and you survive all that, and you come home and then your whole family gets gunned down for no reason by a bunch of criminals.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that'd send me crazy. That'd send anyone crazy.
you know what that's called, Bandit?
What?
It's called character development.
Yes.
It's called that. It's called a reason for wanting to fight. And now, not some stupid reason in Africa for that doesn't match anything or branding or.
If there's even a 1% chance that Punisher is the bad guy, we need to take that as an absolute certainty.
All right, Foggy Nelson. No, it's like, I just
Actually, could I just say, like, I listened to. I know you hate Kevin Smith, but I listened to his podcast of Hollywood Babylon, and
I hate him as a filmmaker. I love him as an entertainer.
Yeah, but he didn't like Batman v Superman, and he's Ben Affleck's friend. he didn't like it either.
That's right. He didn't like. I listened to his podcast, Fat Man on Batman. I like that one.
Yeah. Well, in the one I listened to at Hollywood Babylon, there's his co-host Ralph Garman. He's like Batman. He goes, according to him, 1% is 100%, and he goes, and if that's true, then I enjoyed 100% of this movie.
I love Ralph Garman. He's so great.
He's hilarious, Ralph Garman.
When he's like tearing apart Dark Knight Rises or Man of Steel a couple of years ago. Yeah, man. He's like, and don't worry about this autopilot, Mr. Batman. It's like, wow, he kept just over here like, wasn't it great when this time? He was like, I don't care. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I'm glad they shoved in another plot point because it was way not confusing enough. He goes, they really just needed to make it just completely incomprehensible.
I'm sure Christopher Nolan loved this movie. He's like, did the ending make sense? No? Perfect. Well, what about the women? Useless. Amazing. All right. Lovely.
So with Daredevil, like, what do you think? Let's talk a little bit about the Black Sky.
Whatever that was.
Black Spy, is it supposed to be just a person who is their leader?
All I heard was, every time they mentioned Black Sky, all I heard was Season 3. They were like, we have to worry about Season 3 before Season 3 gets out of hand. I'm like, all right. Yeah. I'm sure they'll talk about it next season. I honestly stopped worrying about it.
Yeah, but I think that ties into a bit of a problem with this one, because, like, the first season is like, what Kingpin wants. He wants to control the city. As to what he wants to transform it in, it's like they left that open and that was fine. Yeah. But in this one, like with the hand, I'm like, okay, they want the Black Sky, but why? What's their end game? Do they want to take over the city? Do they want something else? I feel like we needed a bit more of an answer for that, and they didn't really have it.
What was the tunnel for?
Yeah. What? See, like, we need to, like, you don't have to tell us everything, but I think we need to know a bit more. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, why are they fighting again? We don't even really know.
I think I did like how Stick showed him a new way to fight the ninjas. He's like, you can't hear their heart, but you can hear their swords. And so it kind of created a new dynamic for Daredevil of like, he's heightening his skills of like, God forbid he can't hear someone's heartbeat, but he can hear like their gun cock or a shell or a trigger being pulled. I like the different aspects of that.
When they exhale, yeah.
Yeah, they'll eventually have to breathe, yeah.
And I did really like, though, that whenever the ninjas move, like on screen, it's silent.
Yes,
like that was footsteps
so great. That was horrifying.
It was scary, wasn't it? Because they just move, like when they go, you cannot hear them.
They're at the hospital, and what you think you would hear is pitter patter, but you just hear silence as these guys just walk up the building.
Yeah,
and I like they established that ninjas are a thing because ninjas and Daredevil kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, so I really enjoyed all the ninja stuff. What do you think of Claire? So speaking of the hospital, of Rosario Dawson's character, the nurse.
Yeah, I really like her. I really like that character.
She reminds I think she's there to speak for the audience. I love when she just sat down Matt Murdock and she's like, "This is not your city." That was like one of my favorite scenes. She's just like, "Matt, you need to stop. This is not your city." I love that. I'm like, she's telling him how it is. Matt, this is not your city. You think you can keep these people safe, and you can, but you can't do it by yourself. I really liked that. I wasn't a fan of the hospital conspiracy of the cover up.
We don't need. Ease up on the conspiracies TV Netflix show like Daredevil. We don't need a conspiracy for everything, okay?
Yeah.
But I think not having like a clear reason as to what the Hand wanted and why they were a threat, I think that did hurt the show. Because especially when Elektra is like sort of dragging him around of, we got to stop this, we got to stop that. And I was kind of thinking, like, I was like, you know, can't, like, if I was Daredevil, I'd just be like, you know what? I'm going to focus on this court case right now. The Hand will still be here after that. I can deal with it then. Because you don't know what they're doing. It's like in The Dark Knight, you know, where he's like, one man or the entire mob. I'll go after the mob. I was like, you can prioritize like that, Daredevil. You don't have to go and beat everyone in the head. Like, focus on the court case.
But Elektra's so hot. Yeah,
that's she's a huge snob.
Yeah, she really is. She really is. Hello, Matthew. Yeah.
And, you know, in case you haven't noticed, Matt Murdock doesn't have any trouble getting girls, so...
No.
Just saying that, there's other girls out there with less baggage.
Hashtag sympathy vote. Like, he's like...
That also aren't going to stab you, Matt.
Yeah. I think... Did you have any more notes you want to go through?
Let me see. I think we covered most of it.
Okay.
Oh, well, then there was a great bit though I loved where when Matt and Foggy and Karen, they go to punish her in the hospital to basically say we'll be your lawyer, and when they come out and there's that other woman chick who gets shot later on, and she's getting right up in Daredevil's face and she's been like, you don't have any right to be here, blah blah blah, and she's giving him like the evil eye, that 1,000-yard stare, and I'm like, you know he's blind, right?
Yeah,
like,
he can't.
Your 1,000-yard stare is really kind of wasted on him because he can't see it.
I do like there are some subtle touch. I still love how you know, like he while he is blind, while he can hear, he's not like he still can't see. He is still blind. Like there'll be times like he'll like, you know, like he'll start touching something to make sure it's still there. You know, like he'll even though like you can, like, certain things make sense when you like he'll be like, he'll open his fridge and get some juice because he knows exactly where the juice will probably be. But certain things, like he'll be walking down the hallway and he'll start touching the walls, or he'll start, you know, feeling for things, or he'll still use his cane when walking down the streets of New York, or like whenever Foggy's like, yeah, someone nodded, or he's gonna shake his hand, and Mac's like, yeah, of course. There are certain things like that. There's just little touches that I was a big fan of. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I think
I like those, but there were other moments where I thought he needed more of that. Like, because I noticed bits where, like, there's one bit where he and Elektra in the back of a car, and she, like, pulls something up on a laptop, and he, like, slides in next to her and looks at the screen. And I'm like, come on, dude, well, you're playing a blind guy. He wouldn't do that. He might turn his head so that he can hear it directly, but he wouldn't scooch over and look at the screen.
Yeah, but, like, Charlie Cox, I think, has figured out a great way to look just so slightly off that, like, Ben Affleck kind of took it really far. He looked like he was, like, high most of the time, but Matt, like, Charlie Cox, like, you can tell, like, he's kind of looking at you, but he's looking like it's like if he's looking at, like, your ear, or like looking, like, right beyond your forehead.
It's like an unfocused sort of stare ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so great. It's like he's technically, the actor is looking at you, but he's looking at you like he can't actually see you, which is awesome. It's a little touch, like I said, that makes it's details like that. I'm like, okay, I feel like he gets in the character right away, and that was a big, good job.
Yeah. Okay. Were there any more questions? Because that's pretty much all the notes.
Well, Seb PD asks. He says, you know, what character should appear in Daredevil season 3? Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I suppose so. But
that's because
we're going to have more Elektra again, aren't we? So
I get, but I feel like that's the character. It's not just for a female thing, but it's like Jessica Jones for me is not sold. Even though I thought Kristen Ritter was pretty good, I'm not sold on that character. In terms of being in this Netflix universe, so I need to see how she works well with other tones. So I'd like to see her in there. I wish Kilgrave was there. We already talked about that though, but I know for sure.
I wish Kilgrave was there.
We're probably going to see Bullseye. Most definitely going to see Bullseye.
I'm actually not sure whether it's. I mean, I'm sure they will introduce another character for the new season, but I'm actually not sure whether it's a good idea to have yet another. If they're going to have, like, Elektra will definitely be there because they already showed her in the thing. Elektra will be there. Punisher will probably be there again. Then we're going to have Kingpin doing his stuff. Going to have Daredevil still doing his stuff. If they're bringing another one, I was like, yeah.
Well, I think
I guess they could
think
shelve Punisher for a while if they're bringing in a new one, but I wouldn't mind just having one more season with just everyone we got, just to sort of solidify and focus in on some of the stuff. Yeah.
I don't think Punisher is going to be a character that's going to be like, hey, it's time for the Daredevil and Punisher show. Time for them to fight crime together. I think Punisher, it was very much a catalyst of Daredevil this season and kind of a part of his world falling apart.
Maybe
I think
he'll move to a different city or something now.
Well, I don't know. Punisher's going to be doing his own thing, but I think Wilson Fisk, and I think that's why, bringing in Bullseye, he'll probably be working with Wilson Fisk. And so that'll be the Wilson Fisk and Bullseye storylines will be very much intertwined with one another. I think that'll be Wilson Fisk's plan, at least part of it. And I think the whole Elektra thing, we may see a Matt Murdock outside New York. I don't know. But, so I don't know where they're going to take this whole Black Sky hand thing. So that's beyond me. But
yeah, I got the impression it's going to be like, it's going to be round 2 of like, Kingpin versus Daredevil in the next season, and also sort of finishing the story that they set up with the hand and Elektra and all that. So hopefully we don't need too many new characters introduced for that. Yeah.
Well, I think Karen Page, she either needs to become a good character or die. So there's kind of been that major, not necessarily death, but there's kind of been that major event that kind of sets the whole season. This one was supposed to be, I guess, the death of Elektra. Last season, it was kind of the death of Ben in terms of like, man, that's shocking, that sucks. I don't know. I'm excited to see where they take the series, though.
They're following the Zack Snyder formula. If someone has to die in each season, just to give it more punch, man.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that eventually the fans knew exactly what it is they were going to do, and Dark Knight Returns and Frank Miller and Mr. Sunday movies. Yeah,
and I don't know how else to do it. That's he says that a lot too.
Yeah. We really needed all these girls in scantily clad making music videos. That was really my whole plan with Sucker Punch. Yeah, I really made sure that nothing made any sense. Yeah, of course.
We really need to accentuate the male form of Kingpin here. What would be great with Kingpin? If we make him much smaller, thin him out, and give him long hair. Yeah, that'll work. Jesse Eisenberg, you available to play Kingpin?
Daredevil needs to kill because essentially that's what Daredevil did in the other forms of Daredevil media. He's killed people before. So we need to continue on the tradition set by Tim Burton.
That's what he's all about.
Yeah, it's ultimately what he's all about. Jar Jar's the kid. Oops.
Oh, we're going to get so much hate again.
Oh, God. Good Zack Snyder impersonation. I was kind of doing Quentin Tarantino, but that's whatever. All right. Sure. So I think that's it for Daredevil. What would you give it out of 10, Bandit?
I'd give it... again, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. How about you?
I'll go an 8 because even though they're 8.5, because even though there are those kind of 2 or 3 episodes that definitely drag in the middle, but I think what works in kind of in the reverse Batman Superman, for every bad thing there are like 3 or 4 great things that surpass it. So I feel like this. I think season 1 might still be better just because. I think there are more characters in season 1 that they're like. When it's like, how do I say this?
It was
when
more
Daredevil,
solid season 1. This felt like it had more filler.
When Daredevil was on screen, when Daredevil wasn't on screen, we'd have Fisk and Owsley Owsley, whatever his name is, and Wesley and Madame Gal, and these characters like, man, this is a great scene. And then when they weren't on screen, we'd have Ben Urich and Karen, and they had a great dynamic. Or we'd have really funny Foggy Nelson, and then you get to go back to Daredevil. With this one, it's like, okay, we have Elektra and Stick, okay, and Karen Page and the bearded guy. Awesome. Hey, some Wilson Fisk. Hey, some Daredevil. Hey, Punisher. But there's still those elements that still kind of drag the show down for me in this season. But I still really enjoyed the season, so I'll go 8.5 out of 10.
Actually, I'll change it to an 8 out of 10 too, because when I think about it, sure there's a few weak episodes, but it's definitely one of the best shows around. It's definitely much better than Jessica Jones, and shows like Walking Dead. It's much better than them. So I don't want to be ungrateful for how good
love that
quality.
Carol. Oh boy, Carol's amazing, isn't she? All right. All right,
Oh dear.
Let's get to the listener
Dead.
questions.
Walking Dead almost killed me on one episode. Yeah, just anyway, we'll save it for when we talk about it later.
Next week or whenever we get to it.
Yeah. All right.
That sucks. Listener questions.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay. All right, guys. So this is the listener questions. As I said, every week on Facebook, we ask for you guys' listener questions. The best ones get read in the show. Facebook, yeah, all that great stuff. Okay. Here's a good one. Chase Berry asked, favorite George Lucas quote?
I know. My favorite one is special effects are just a tool. You know, your special effects without a story is a pretty boring thing. That's my favorite one. How about you?
I don't know, man. There's not really one much better than, Jar Jar's the key to all of this. It's like poetry, it rhymes. But
he's a funnier character than we ever had before. Of course he is. Yeah,
he's funny. The kids will like this one. But I think I remember the one Mark Hamill told me.
To be fair, the little kids do like Jar Jar, so it's just nobody else does.
Yeah, you were good, but you need to be faster and more intense. All right, we'll go back to my coffee. Action. Okay, we're gonna fix that in post and put CGI Yoda there. Look at this tennis ball, and that's gonna be Yoda. Yeah. So, yeah, Lucas has a wonderful series of quotes. He's like, I wasn't a big fan of The Force Awakens. It needed more Jar Jar. All right. Okay, so Shazeb Ali asked, what is the future of the DC cinematic universe? Like, where do you think the train is headed? I think we briefly touched on this last week. I think it's pretty much going to be in the same direction. It may be a little lighter, I guess. It's going to be very light of Snyder. It's going to be lighter of Snyder. But I
lighter of Snyder.
Hashtag lighter of Snyder. But in terms of where the show is going to go, where the cinematic universe is going to go, I think it's essentially the same area. I'd like to see an actual Superman sequel. Like you don't need like well, that's like there are certain characters. No, they're not. There are certain characters that I don't think need to have their own standalone movies. Like you need to do a Flash movie, Wonder Woman movie, of course. Aquaman, that's a whole different world. But Green Lantern right now, Cyborg to me feels more like a Hawkeye or a Black Widow, or a Hulk, and where you don't need to do their own until the movies. They work as the team. You know, I'd much rather see a Martian Manhunter story movie than a Cyborg film. And that's something against his character of Cyborg. It's just I feel like I'd love to see there are different characters that should be in there. Luckily Goyer isn't writing the stuff anymore, so maybe we can get Martian Manhunter, but that's whatever.
Well, look, as for me, the future of the DCU is I think part of the reason I fell for that April Fool's thing is because that's what I expect to happen. Yeah. I don't know why they would want to keep Zack Snyder around for the Justice League movie, but I guess if they keep Zack Snyder around, we know what Justice League is going to be like, because Batman v Superman basically proved to me that he's incapable of changing the way he does things. So those of us who didn't like the style of Batman v Superman, it's not going to be any different. So if Zack Snyder sticks around, the future is more of the same. If they get rid of him, then we can get something hopefully more in tune with what general audiences were looking for when they went in to see Batman v Superman. Yeah. So the Justice League won't get an 80% drop in the second week. Yes, I don't know. I get really depressed thinking about it.
DC,
I really do.
Yeah, I know. Look, if DC does keep Snyder, here's my advice to Snyder. Snyder, just give us Watchmen with the tone of 300. Well, I don't know.
That's what he has been doing.
Well, no, in the sense of 300 had some fun to it. If 300 had kind of fist bump, yeah, bro moments to it. That's what I mean by tone wise.
Yeah.
And give us Watchmen in that you give us accurate character descriptions and a beautiful looking film, but give us some fun characters along the way. Please, Zack Snyder, have Superman smile. Even when he saves the day, he looks depressed. Please, good God. I'm just saying, there's no reason for him to look that way.
It'd be great if they were able to like, see, now that they've kind of painted themselves into that corner with dead Superman, now you got to resurrect him for a next movie. It'd be great if they could weave the resurrection of Superman into one of the other superhero movies somehow. Like, I don't know. That way, when we get to Justice League, he's already there. We don't need to waste the first act of the movie.
The only movies between now and Justice League are Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman. So,
oh god.
Yeah, Justice League is coming out in November of 2017.
I thought maybe with Flash they could do a thing where he goes back in time to sort of get him or something.
That'd be great. That'd be great if Flash wasn't coming out in the summer of 2018. So yeah, we're getting. I think Aquaman, Flash, and my cousin's calling me. I think I know what that means. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So keep us.
But look. It was Shazam Ali who gave that comment, was it? Yep. Yeah, we love you, Shazam Ali. You're our number one fan. But to answer your question, Shazam, it's what's the future of the DC? Flip a coin, mate. None of us really know. It could really go any direction at this point. Let's just hope it heads in a good
Speaking of flip a coin, just make it. I don't know. Batman will be good, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll probably be good.
I think I know what happens. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
No Walking Dead spoilers. I haven't seen.
I won't give any spoilers. Just say I think I know what happens. That threw me for a loop. Okay,
I think you were talking about this in an edit point. No one's going to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
okay,
you said if your cousin calls you, it means a certain person dies. So don't say it because he called.
He did call. So, I can't wait. Okay, I think. Well, I have one question on Twitter for you. Spooner at Spoonerverse15, he asks, after this week and after the drop off, how much do you think BVS will make? I guess that means worldwide, like in its total.
Well, you just sort of had a look at all the numbers, didn't you? So you'd probably be in a better place.
Well, I know if it did to like 50 million this weekend in the US, I think it's already at like $600 million. Okay. So at its momentum, it'll probably do like $1.1 billion. Yeah. It won't be projected into like the high bill. It won't do like Jurassic World or Avengers money. It'll probably do like Dark Knight Rises money, like 1.1 billion.
Actually, I do remember. Sorry to interrupt, but to add some, because Comic Book Cast did say that on that website, break even, 700 million is what they need to break even. So 1.2 to make a profit. So if they're at 600 million now and they dropped 81% by the second week, it's going to be difficult. They might just sort of limp across the finish line. Yeah. But I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? We can talk about a movie that's made like $600 million in 2 weeks, and yet somehow that's not enough. But hey,
well, when you make a $500 million movie, when your movie's $500 million, yeah, it's like, it's like Bill Gates, dropping $100 bills and not picking them up because he doesn't need to. It's like, yeah. It's all relative. All right, Bandit. I think that'll do it for this episode, Bandit.
Sure.
All right, guys. So that was this week's episode. Bill Gates jokes. That was this week's episode of Movie Mania podcast, talking about Daredevil and a little Zootopia. Talking a lot of big stories happen this week in movie news. BVS, Fallout. Yeah. So. Great talk. Next week we're talking
it could be either. We've got two different things it could be, depending on whether Trilbee's got his internet back on or whether he doesn't. So yeah.
So we'll let you guys know, and I'll probably let you guys know in listener question time, which means Bandit, where can people find you?
The people can find me on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated, and they can find you.
And they can find me on the YouTubes, Twitters, and Instagram, all at Twitters 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 and Instagram.